And that's fine. Fine by me. Freestyle is best sometimes.
Yeah, it is. It is. So, Kiran, welcome to the show. It's fantastic to have you on. It looks sunny.
Thank you.
It looks sunny in India. It's a terrible weather in England. So
I've heard. It's 5:27 at the moment, nearly 5:30, and the sun's about to set shortly. But it's very nice at the moment. Shame we can't all go out and enjoy the weather at the moment. Nobody really wants to catch COVID. So
no. So yeah, you're kind of locked in as well, right? Like we are. So I mean, this is the way life is at the moment. But I've noticed you can get a lot of things done while you're locked at home, can't you? You've got the internet and you're off. You can work away.
Yeah, I mean, myself, Rishi, and another friend of ours, RDV, we've been extremely, extremely lucky. We've started a record label throughout lockdown, which came quite as a surprise, but, God has his own timing, I guess. But yeah, I think, without that, I think I definitely would have struggled. I would have, come back to London, and rethought my whole life plan. COVID, I think, just has taken a lot of people down various different paths. It's been a strange journey last couple of months. I think everyone's just trying to get by, really.
Yeah. I mean, you said in lockdown you've created a record company, like you do, right? Yeah. So most people are cleaning their attics and doing a bit of DIY while I've got a bit of spare time. But you guys have gone and created a record company. But we'll come to that part. But for you, Kiran, obviously you're from the UK originally. Now transported yourself to India with your career, which is kind of a massive step. It always shows me someone's commitment to their art if they're willing to travel across the world, right, to fulfill their dreams, which is fantastic. And kudos to you to doing that. So, but originally you're from where in England? From down South London area?
Yeah, South London. Yeah, South London. Yeah, I was born in Southall, and my family all reside in Berkshire now. But yeah, I'm originally born in Southall.
Yeah. So you're representing Southall in India at the moment.
Somewhat, yes, somewhat.
And so for yourself, music was obviously a big part of your life growing up, I assume. And so was that always your dream to become a singer?
Yeah, I think it was. When you're growing up, someone in your family is always kind of playing music, whether it's Bollywood, whether it's religious, Kirtan or anything. There was always some sort of music in whichever house I was in, or when I was with my cousins and things like that. I just had this obsession as like a 4-year-old kid. I loved to dress up, and I loved to just dance in front of a mirror and sing what I thought was singing at the time. Obviously it wasn't, but I loved to mime. I was quite intelligent when I would listen to music. I would be able to listen to a song, and within first 2 or 3 listens, I'd be able to pick up the lyrics. So then I would try and sing it back in front of the mirror, and try to literally mimic the original playback singer. So stuff like Alka Yagnik, Lata, Asha Ji, all these kind of female Bollywood singers, I used to just try and replicate what I could hear. I don't think I knew for quite a couple of years later that I wanted to pursue it full time, and that was something that I wanted to do, let alone could do. But music, I think for a lot of Asian kids growing up, in the 80s, in the 90s, music, I think, has played a part in a lot of our lives, growing up, giving us that cultural connect, especially when you're in places like Southall and things like that, where you are literally surrounded by so many other Asians, music gives you that cultural connect. You get to listen to your Ma Bolli, whether it's Punjabi or it's Hindi or anything. It just gives you that feeling that I'm still close to my own roots, and that's what music has always kind of done for me.
Yeah, I mean that's a nice story because of you as a young girl singing, in front of a mirror. I take it with a hairbrush as a microphone.
Oh yeah,
which is standard.
Sometimes a comb.
Yeah, yeah. Depends what
Yeah.
song. And but you went straight for Bollywood. Very technical songs. Very hard songs. I mean, I
Yeah.
would have chosen probably Wham or something like that. A straightforward pop song. But so you went for some very difficult types of songs. As a young girl. Was you drawn to that kind of style? Like I said, they're very technical. And Hindi songs are very difficult to sing. I think.
Very, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is about me, but various people have always said I'm sort of like an old soul. Sometimes I'm unnecessarily deep, and there's no need for me to be, but I can be really deep and dukhy and that kind of stuff. And I think what attracted me to those Bollywood type of songs was the melody and that kind of that deepness and that richness that those melodies have. Not to say, Wham and Wham and other stuff doesn't have it. It's just at that time, I remember when I was 3 or 4, growing up in Southall, those are the kind of songs that, my mum would play, or those are the kind of cassettes that were lying around. And Wham was kind of a bit before me. So I'm not in that age group. Sorry.
Yeah, I go back further than that, Kiran. Right, so...
Okay.
But for
I do love Wham though. I do love them now that I'm sort of older and I appreciate so many different styles of music. I listen to everything from John Bon Jovi to Meatloaf to Wham to Dire Straits to Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan. I listen to such a variety now, but back then it was Bollywood for me that really had my heart.
Yeah, so Bollywood really hooked you in, and you do sing in so many different styles. You do sing in English, you do sing in Hindi, Punjabi as well. So you've got a range that you sing in now, and I'll lend you some Wham singles. Don't worry. And but for yourself,
my dad has plenty. I think my dad also had an outfit once, a Wham outfit. I'm not quite sure about that. I'll have to check that one.
Yeah, he sounds like a very cool guy. But for yourself, so you're getting into music. Was there a particular point where you thought, what, I want to try and do this as a career, or I want to follow this as my passion?
So primary school, when I was younger, I used to sort of enter all the talent shows that I possibly could, but not to sing, to actually dance. I was very, very passionate about dancing. Again, the whole music thing would really connect me to that. As I, gotten older a little bit, went to high school, music just became something that I would listen to. I didn't really do much with it until I was studying for my A-levels, I think. And a friend of mine heard me sing, just very off the cuff. I think we were in the loos or something like that. And she must have heard me singing. And, by the time I came out of the loo and went into my common room, everyone knew I had some sort of a voice. You know how word spreads when you're at that age. Everyone likes to gossip and stuff. And from that point on, actually, people would come to me and say, oh, we're not feeling too good today. Can you sing us this song? Or I just became this walking karaoke machine for quite a few people, which, what Asians and Indians are like. It's like, oh, cool, just sing us a song. It doesn't matter. And then, I went on to university and I was literally known as Kiran, the girl that sings and wears glasses. Like that was my tag name. Yeah. That was all I was known as. And when I was at university, I had a lot more time to experiment with the kind of music styles that I liked and the kind of music variations and genres that I really liked to sing in. And by that point, I'd already started uploading music on MySpace. I'm pretty sure it was MySpace. Yeah, MySpace. And I did a couple of Facebook covers, but I would never show my face. I would always just record the phone face down on a table or a book or something. I would never show my face. And one of those demos, I sent to a couple of producers, Rishi being one of them. And I just said, I'm looking for advice. I'm not looking for any kind of auditions or, a gig or a show or anything. I would just like some feedback as to how I sound, what can I do better? Is there any kind of, pointers or feedback you'd give me? And I sent one demo video to Rishi and a couple of others. And Rishi responded back to me on Facebook Messenger a year later to the day that I sent that message. a year later. And still, I say, it took you a year. Like, a year is a long time. But when he responded back to me on Facebook, he said, and I'll never forget it, he said, "You're good, but you can be better." And firstly, I thought, okay, well, that's rude. You know, you're good, but you can be better.
Yeah.
But then, you know, then he quickly followed through with, you know, it'd be really good if you can come down and meet Veronica and myself to come and audition.
Wow.
And that's what happened.
Oh,
really.
I mean, that's amazing. Yeah, that is amazing. And that's the good part of social media, I would say, you know, where you can connect with people.
Yeah.
And that's when you can create something.
Yeah.
I mean, we hear a lot of negative stories about social media and Facebook, Twitter, but that's kind of the good part, right? And that's quite funny. You know, it took a year to tell you, you know, you're good, but you know, you could be better. And you're thinking, how rude, right?
Because firstly, I was like, you know, I've only sent a message to 2-3 people, and you know, no one else had responded. And I thought, it took you a year to respond with that. But now I look back at it, and I'm like, those words are probably the words that shaped my music journey and started it off. You know, you're good, but you can be better. And I always remind that to myself now, like, okay, I've released a song, the song's done well, but I can always do better. So it's kind of those few words have really just shaped my journey. So I don't really whine about it too much now. I'm settled with the fact that that's the message I received.
Yeah, you settled it. It takes him a while to reply back. I mean, but I mean, that's fantastic. So did you then arrange to meet him and Veronica?
Yeah. So I think I remember Veronica emailed me and said, you know, this is the studio address in Greenford. Come down and meet us. And little did I know, I only found this out a couple of years ago. The reason why it took so long for them to respond back to me, it was because they had just been told at that time that, you know, whoever they were working for, Rishi and Veronica, we need you to find or source a British Asian artist that is born in the UK, but can sing either Hindi or Punjabi. So that's when one of these guys remembered that I sent a demo in. So that's why it took a year later to kind of nudge them a little bit. So when I went down to audition, I didn't know that I was actually up against quite a few other auditionees, would I say. I didn't know that. So after I auditioned, I was very, very nervous, and I was still studying. So I had just literally taken half a day out from university, gone there to audition, and then left. And I didn't hear anything for, I think, about a month or two. And I messaged Veronica and said, you know, was everything okay? I'm a bit worried. I haven't heard anything back. And they actually said that, you know, we really like your vibe. You know, we like the fact that, you know, you wear glasses, you're very unique and things like that. But we don't think you're ready yet. You know, we don't think we know you can sing. Your talent's not in question. Your hunger is. We don't know if you're passionate enough to do this. And I think they were right. Still at that point, I hadn't realized that this was something I wanted to do. I was still half there, half here. You know, I was just kind of flailing around a little bit. What I didn't know was that was written all over my face. And that's exactly what Rishi and Veronica picked up on, was that I wasn't 100% passionate about it because I wasn't sure that that's what I wanted to do. It was only when I received that email, that's when I thought, well, no, actually, it is what I want to do. And then I really just, you know, kicked myself up the butt. And, you know, I started to really just train myself in terms of vocally, you know, make sure that I was kind of on point with my demos, my songs that I was trying to do and things like that, my cover versions. And Rishi and I and Veronica just kept in touch for a couple of years following that. And they just kept watching me on Facebook, watching my journey, how I was evolving as a person. I think that's very important as an artist. And they were just watching me sort of grow. And in my final year of university, they contacted me again and, you know, said, you know, what are you doing? You haven't released anything. You haven't done anything with your voice. You know, what's the plan? And I said, well, since you guys said no, I've not really done anything. You know, I've just been focusing on myself and my studies. They invited me back to the studio, and I think the same day we made my first single straight away.
Wow. Yeah. So
it's the first time that, you know, you don't get there, then always keep trying. That's, you know, a big life lesson for me.
Absolutely. And I think they kind of nudged you into committing to what your goals were in life.
Yeah,
I think you was there,
yeah,
and it's sometimes about fear, isn't it, as well? You know,
yeah,
there's fear that holds us back, and it takes someone
yeah.
to say, to kind of, you know, push you off that cliff and say, go on, you can
Of
paraglide off,
course, yeah,
and
yeah,
you can do it, you know. And obviously someone like Rishi Rich and Veronica, you know, kind of established in the music
yeah,
industry. We know their names, and so for you, you know, I mean, that's quite a pivotal moment, isn't it, to think about that commitment and whether you had it or
yeah,
not. And you know, we talked at the beginning of the show, you've traveled to India to fulfill that
yeah.
commitment. You've gone
I
full.
think I've shown how committed I am now.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. You know, you've gone
Yeah,
from, you know, slightly committed maybe, and to fully
yeah,
committed. You know, that
yeah,
shows something about you and your determination.
yeah.
And
Thank
I
you.
think it shows for people watching and listening that, you know, sometimes it takes someone just to give you a bit of confidence to say, you know, you can do it. You've got this in you.
Yeah, and that's so, honestly, even now, I mean, we all have our good days and bad days, but I remember as a teenager, I really, really lacked a lot of confidence. And it wasn't because of, you know, my parents or, you know, something had happened to me or whatever. It wasn't anything like that. It was just something that I had kind of kept feeding myself for whatever reason, you know, oh, you can't do this, oh, you don't look right. You know, that's why I never used to show my face when I would record my songs and stuff like that. I was always very unhappy with my mindset or something about me. I was always nitpicking. And when it came to the fact that people started to find out that I could sing, I was more worried about Lokane Ki Kehna, that, you know, she's singing, rather than the fact that, oh my God, people are starting to talk about me. I was more worried than happy. And what really sort of helped me along the way and on my journey was, here were two people that are responsible for so many music and so many songs, and, you know, creating our own genre of music. They're not telling me I can't do it. They're saying, do you want to? They're saying, you know, you can do it. It's in you. You just got to tap into it. And if you're ready to do that, then the world is your oyster. But if you're not going to commit to it, then it will always be something that you could have done, you know? And that's what I loved about both of them, is the fact that they believed in me so much to reject me almost, if that makes sense, you know? They believed in me so much. And that belief, honestly, I have never been more committed to anything other than music since that day.
Yeah, wow, that's
Yeah,
fantastic. I mean, that's a great story, really, and it shows when you do fully commit to something in life and to
yeah,
your dreams and your goals, you know what you can do.
yeah,
So after that point, you know, you said you recorded with them on that day.
yeah, yeah.
Was that set for release? Was that your first release with them, or was it just?
Yeah, that was my first release. Yes, Tere Bina Nahi Jeena, which came out on the 11th of August 2011. So I was literally slap bang in my third year of university.
Yeah.
And out comes my first song. So it was a great, great feeling. But I was having to suddenly manage between doing shows to promote the song, and back then, you know, doing all the melas and stuff. It was hugely popular, you know, to do all the melas. And then one minute I'd be on a stage performing my songs and my tracks, and then within an hour or so of my performance finishing, I'm back at university in the library on campus, you know, studying for an exam I've got the next day.
Yeah.
So I had to juggle a lot, to be honest. I really had to juggle a lot. But,
what was you studying, Kiran?
oh, law.
Law. Yeah.
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 I've met so many artists that do music, or I've come across now from the UK, especially girls. I've met so many, and they've all done law. I don't know what, but it's just a thing, I think. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. It's either that or business and finance. That was the other.
Yeah.
I did
business management or something. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a tough time. What did your family think at the time? Obviously, you're in your last year at uni. Important moment in your life, study wise, and then your single comes out as well. Were they kind of worried slightly, thinking, you know, she concentrating? Everyone just wants commitment from you, Kiran, one way or the other.
I know. I was very thinly stretched, unfortunately, but they were worried. I won't lie, they were worried, but not worried whether I could do everything. They've always known that if I put my mind to something, I'm a very hard worker. My dad's always said, you are a grafter. So I do know how to work hard. But I think they were just worried that if I fail at either my studies or music, because I was just as passionate about law as I was, music, they were worried that if I fail at one, that would probably set me back, and I would just, go back into my little shell, and I wouldn't be able to excel in the other, whichever one that, I didn't do too well at. So their main concern was, you need to make sure that you can do both, and it doesn't, harm your mental health, or it doesn't harm you or anything like that. You're being safe. Your studies are just as important as your passion, because we all need something to do that we enjoy, but you can't let one override the other right now, because I'd already worked very, very hard to get to where I was in my studies. So that was their only worry, really. Yeah. And, I did fairly well, so I was okay.
Yeah. In the end, it all worked out well in the end. Life is all about balance, isn't it? And you talk about mental health, and it is about balance, not overly worrying about a certain aspect in your life. I know when sometimes people hear that, and I think you like you said, you was quite a deep person, or you are still a deep person. You think deeply about things, and were there ever moments when you were thinking, maybe I need to make a choice out of the two, or did you just take your dad's advice and run with it?
There was one show I remember I was doing in Manchester, and this was literally slap bang in between my final year of exams. And I remember saying that, look, I don't think I can do this show, because I've got exams to do, and it was in Manchester. I was studying in Hertfordshire, so that's a 3.5 hour journey for me just on the way there, then 3.5 hours on the way back. And I said, my exam is the day after this show. I don't think I can do it at all. And by then it was already too late. The event organizers had already been promised that I was performing along with others. I didn't really have much of a say about getting out of it. I had a couple of people phone me saying, you can never turn down shows when you're an upcoming artist. If you're getting shows, you never say no. And I was like, I don't care. I've got an exam tomorrow. I would get my butt kicked if I don't do well on this exam, especially because I've been working throughout. So I went and I did the show. I came back, but I got dropped off to my university campus, and straight away I went into the library, and I did an all-nighter of studying to be able to do my exam the next morning. But that was one incident where I was thinking it's going to be one or the other right now, because I can't choose between performing my music and having that life and lifestyle, and then being able to make my exam tomorrow. Like, I can't do both. So I did think for a second I'm going to have to choose, but I managed to do both in the end. So I didn't have to.
Yeah. Sometimes when you're pushed into a certain area, Kiran, you seem to find a way. You find a way through, don't you? And
somehow, I don't know.
There's strength in you, obviously. And sometimes we can't see it ourselves, but it's strength in you. And when you tell someone your story, I can see it. I think, wow, that's quite quite a lot of character from her to do this, and
ballsy is what my mum calls me sometimes. She says I'm pretty ballsy.
Yeah, your mum's probably got the perfect word I was looking for. Yeah.
But the thing is, you have to be. You honestly, you have to be. And it's not just in the Asian industry, it's in any industry you work in when music or creativity is involved. You have to be, man or woman. If you're going to do anything, you have to just stick to your guns once you finally decide that is what you want to do, and just be ballsy about it. As long as you know, and this is something that I've settled with as well, and I've kind of made peace with. If I know I am doing something with a pure and clean heart, I'm not harming anyone, I'm not hurting anybody, I'm doing what I want to do, then I'm going to do it. And that's it. I'm going to, live life by my own rules in that respect. Not going to hurt anybody, not going to disrespect anybody, not going to make a show of myself, going to keep obviously that respect going as well. But if it is something that I want to do, then I will do it. And that's what I've been doing really for the last God knows how many years, being ballsy about life, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's all them experiences for you, Kiran, obviously helping you in regards to your record label as well, you know, when you're looking for artists and you kind of know what to look out for, right? And someone who may be like you needs to have that confidence to say, you know, you're good, but you're not committed. And then maybe turn around to Rishi and give him a wink and think, I'm taking that line now. And
exactly.
So after that point at university, you passed, obviously, you got your picture with your hat on and your scroll, and your parents are happy and they've got it up, right? And so did you ever work in law? Did you ever get a job?
Yeah, I did. When I was at university, I just finished my final year exams, and shows and stuff had finished up for me for some time. I quickly realized that I needed to get a job. You know, first thing you do, you graduate, you get a job. So I got a job as a legal secretary in a Middlesex law firm, because I've always been of the view that, you know, if you want to get somewhere, sometimes you have to start somewhere as well. Like, you know, my parents have always taught me, get your foot in the door. Once you're in, you know, work your butt off and prove your worth, and you can start to sort of move around. So that's what I did. I joined a fantastic law firm in Middlesex, in Uxbridge, and I was there as a legal secretary. And I was there, I moved up the ranks, and I was there for nearly 6 years, 5.5 years I was there.
Wow.
Working in criminal defense. Yeah. So, and because I loved my team, I loved my department, I loved what I was doing, music then took a back seat for me.
Oh, yeah.
So that's another little turn in my road. I've never worked with any other producer other than Rishi and his team. And I've always felt very, very comfortable with him, Veronica, and the other artists in our little camp. So once he'd moved to America to fulfill his dreams with Terry Riley and people, I decided that at the same time, I just got my job. So I was like, okay, I'm going to focus just on what I need to do. And I worked with another producer from his camp called Nameless. We did a song together whilst I was working at the law firm. That did nicely, quite well. And that was it. I just became very content working at my little law firm, you know, and singing on the odd occasion at an event or anything if I got booked for one. But I wasn't pushing myself anymore. I stopped pushing myself because I was pushing myself in my law career, and I became very happy with how I was doing there. And so I just kind of stopped pushing on the music. I just let the music simmer down, and that was, I didn't reignite that fire. I just let it just kind of burn out a little bit.
Yeah. Not burn out completely though, obviously. And
no,
it was still there. And when Rishi went to America, was you kind of like disappointed slightly, thinking, oh, you know, he's gone to America, or was it at the same time that you was working and it kind of sort of worked out in the end?
You know what, honestly, on first instance, when I found out, I was a bit like, okay, I understand, but what do I do now? Like, I don't trust any other producer almost outside of our camp with how to kind of get the best out of me. And that's something that him, Veronica, and you know, our whole Rishi Rich Productions camp, they've always brought out the best of the people, you know, whether it's myself, whether it's Juggy, whether it's H, whether it's Jay, you know, Rishi and Veronica have this magic that they, even if you don't think you can sound like that, they will pull it out of you. And they made me believe like I was Tinkerbell. I thought I was magical because I don't sound like that when I'm dancing and prancing around in front of a mirror. But when I'm in the studio and, you know, sitting there composing melodies with them, I've learned so much about music. It wasn't just about singing anymore. It was about learning how to write, you know, making a song sound sensible and make sense, composing melodies. And, you know, I started to learn and all these tips and tricks. And once he went to America, I thought, okay, well, there's no one else, you know, in the UK that I would want to make that kind of music with. And there's no one else that I think could bring out the best in me as an artist. So I'll just carry on with my law stuff. And it did work out in terms of timing. But my parents have always said, if you're going to do music, but always have a fallback. You never know what's going to happen, And luckily for me, I did stick with law, because when, Rishi and I and our whole team kind of parted ways, I did have something to fall back on. And I was happy about that, because I loved law as well. So it was like, I wasn't making a choice. It was being chosen for me. So I was quite happy with that.
Yes, it's lucky you did that exam, Kiran?
Yeah, it so is.
That all-nighter came in handy. So 6 years you're working, you're kind of happy, right? You're doing your bit, singing in the bathroom or whatever, right? And keeping.
Yeah.
But there's a point, obviously, that the planets aligned again for yourself, and so
yeah.
Was it when Rishi moved to India that he called you up to say, I mean, how did that all come about for yourself?
I'd been working nonstop at the law firm very passionately, and I loved every minute of it, but I didn't realize just how burnt out I was. I was working constantly, and having a work phone, so even if I don't want to check my emails or whatever at night, I'm checking. And even though it can wait till tomorrow morning, the morning after, I'm thinking, if I do it now, it saves me that much time in the morning. So I've always been very, very efficient when it comes to work. So I was quite burnt out. Rishi and another one of our campus producers, Sahil, Nameless, his name is, they actually came to India, and they were living in Bandra West, and which is literally the highlight in terms of nightlife and vibing and partying and stuff like that. And obviously the center of Bollywood. So, I remember talking to Rishi one day, and I was just like, I'm so burnt out. I always go on trips and family holidays with my family. I've never been on a holiday with my friends, ever, And at this point, I think I was about 29 at this point, 28, 29. And he said, he goes, well, why don't you just book a ticket and come to India? Which, it's not normally the place that you'd go on a holiday with your friends, is it really?
No.
And he said, look, just come to India, and, there's so many artists here that you need to meet. Like, you need to meet them. They're great. And obviously, up until this point, I hadn't done anything further with music. I hadn't really released any other songs, hadn't worked with anybody. So for me, it was purely a holiday. And I came to India, and I remember the first day I landed, he introduced me to an artist called Yash Narvekar, and his voice blew me away. I've never heard anything like it. And the way he was singing so naturally, he wasn't even thinking about it. And he came up to me and he said, I've heard of you. I've heard that you can do this and you can do that. I've been told you're a beast. And I said, well, who would say that to you? And he said, no, because I've seen your songs and, I've seen you live and stuff. And he said, I would love to write with you. You're here now for a week or two. I'd love to sit down and write with you. And I was like, okay, sound a little bit mad, but, I don't mind if that's what you want to do. And the next day, we all started writing. There was about 6 of us in a house, and Rishi's making the beat. 6 of us are writing. In between writing, we're composing the rest of the song. That was something that was so new to me. Never done that before. Having that acceptance and appreciation and mutual respect for each other's art. I felt at home. I really felt at home. And that's when the spark ignited. And I already knew, even before I came back to London, this is where I need to be. This is where it's happening. I need to be a part of this.
Yeah.
That's how it happened.
So you kind of went there at that particular moment, which your mindset was kind of ready for this. You said you was exhausted from work and you needed something, relaxation. Probably not the holiday you was expecting, and you ended up writing songs. And but
exactly.
So you was there for a couple of weeks?
I was here for, I think it was about 8, 9 days, I think, all in all. Yep. And in that trip, I met some record label heads, because obviously they were all coming to me, Rishi and the other producer that was here as well. So because just by being almost a fly on the wall, I was meeting so many people. I was getting introduced to so many different artists, and I felt very, very free as an artist. I felt free, and I thought, I can be whoever I want to be here. I can be a singer, I can be a writer, I can be a composer, I can be all three. I can do what I feel now I was born to do. And people will just let me do that. I don't have to worry about, this or we did that or whatever. I could just kind of be myself. And that was it.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. It's amazing what a creative environment can do to someone, when you're surrounded by people that are into music, writers, producers, rappers. I mean, India's got a big rap scene at the moment. So, and obviously that really fed into what I think obviously it seems like music's such a part of your soul, and it's just always there, isn't it, for you?
It is, yeah. It is. It's exactly what it is. Music is, and I think music is there for a lot of people. It's when you're sad, you can put on a song. It might make you feel better. It might make you feel a bit more sad, but it's just that connects that you're not on your own. And also, as an artist, it's that feeling that your music can provide someone else comfort. And I think it's a very, very powerful sentiment. And I think it's a beautiful way of expression, really, really beautiful. And I feel very blessed that I can do it, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so when your 10 days were up and, dropping you off at the airport, was you kind of feeling sad? Was there a sad Bollywood song?
Oh, I cried all the way.
Yeah, a sad Bollywood song going through your head.
Yeah.
Thinking,
I cried like a baby. I literally did. I cried so much because for me, even when I was younger, I came to India when I was about 5 years old, 4 or 5 years old, and I stayed with my nanny. She's also from the UK, but we came to Punjab and I stayed there for 6 weeks. And I remember that feeling of when I was here, I felt very at home. It was only me and my nanny, and I felt very, just very at peace. I've been very, very lucky and very blessed with my family that, I've seen a lot of places around the world, been on a lot of family holidays. But if anyone's asked me over the years when I've been growing up, what country brings you the most peace? I've always said India. I've never thought too much about it, but I've always said India. And funnily enough, when I was having a conversation with with one of my uncles a couple of years ago, he said to me, he goes, do you know, when you were younger, all you used to say is, Masterji mein Bollywood jana. Like, that's all I used to say when I was younger, apparently. That's what I wanted to do. And so all these little things in my life that I've sort of overlooked have kind of maybe been my subconscious kind of guiding me that this is where you're meant to be, or this is what you're meant to be doing. When I came back to London after the 10-day trip, I was really, really down. I wasn't really talking to anybody because I was still trying to figure it out how, you could go on a trip and suddenly your whole view of life and yourself, your advantages, your limitations, everything. I felt like I didn't recognize myself anymore. And I was very scared about how I was going to explain that to my parents and my family. And, I remember just sort of sitting my mum down saying, I want to move. Like, that's where I need to be. And she basically said to me, oh, are you sure it's not holiday blues? When you come back from a holiday, everyone has holiday blues. And I said, no, this doesn't seem like holiday blues at all. This seems very, very different. And so what I did was, just to make sure, a week later, I booked another flight. And I came back to India for New Year's for another 10, 15 days. And within that trip, I think we must have made 15 to 20 songs, almost a song per day.
Wow.
With different artists. And I came at that point because a lot of the people that I had met, a lot of the artists that I'd worked with on the first trip, they'd all gone back to work. So I wanted to see if it was the nightlife that was drawing me here. It was the people. Was I coming back for the right reasons? And that second trip really cemented my initial feelings that I needed to be here for music. And then, yeah, after that, when I came back to London a second time, I said, this is what I'm going to do. I gave my notice into the law firm. You know, I actually gave them 6 months notice because they needed someone to train me and it was going to take that long.
Yeah.
Plus, they didn't want to let me go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and then July 2017 is when I made the plunge.
Wow. Kiran, did your lights go out, or has it just gone?
It's actually just gone dark. Yeah, I'm trying to fiddle with this flash behind me, but I don't think it's working. I actually need to put the light on. Might see if this works. Hold on. Let me see if that works. That works okay, doesn't it? That's better.
That's better. Yeah,
that's better.
I didn't want you.
Sorry, it's just now it's sunset now.
I didn't want you completely just blacking out slowly over the interview.
Fading out. Yeah, no, it's I'll just change the direction of this now as well, actually.
You know, you made the decision to move out. I mean, that must have been quite an experience. Not obviously you've been there on holiday before, but then to actually be saying, look, I'm going to live here now. This is it now, you know?
Yeah. You know, when I sat down with my parents, I didn't really have any information. You know, they kind of asked me, how are you going to survive? Where are you going to live? What are you going to do? Do you have any projects lined up? And I didn't have any answers to any of these questions. And I just remember saying to them, I don't know, but if I am going to do this, either I go there with your blessings or I don't go with your blessings. But either way, I am going to go.
Okay, yeah.
And by that point, I was very certain in myself that I have to do this. And I think when I said that, that kind of shocked them a little bit as well. Like, okay, you know, where she kind of got all this, you know, upcut from all of a sudden kind of thing. But I think also they respected me for kind of making that very committed decision that this is something that I wanted to do. And I just kind of said, you know, I'll figure it out on the way. There's a couple of songs that which we have done, which are being pitched for various projects and different artists and things like that. And I didn't really know how the Bollywood scene worked. I didn't know about how the music industry worked here in India. But at that point, I was just certain that I wanted to move because that fire had been reignited under me about music. And until that point, I didn't realize how different I had become as a person because I'd put music as a backseat. I'd put my passion and what I truly wanted to do as a backseat because I wasn't being true to myself. And once I realized that actually I've been playing a role for the last however many years, which isn't me, but now I can take that mask off. I can be myself. And that chance just felt too good to pass up. So, yeah.
You didn't want to live a life of regret, you know, what if I did, you know.
Yeah.
So being out there, I mean, obviously it's a different way of work ethic out there, different way of working. How did you kind of struggle with that at the beginning? Because it must be very different from working in London and.
Yeah, really, I did really struggle. I still struggle, to be honest. You know, when people WhatsApp you here and they need something from you, they don't say hi, they don't say hello, they just say, can I need this, you know, when can I get this? And I'm like, say hello. You know, each time I'm speaking to someone, I'm trying to teach people as each person I meet, because I'm like, this is not how you talk to people. You know, here it's very, very difficult to operate with people that don't have the same mindset or morals as you. The industry is, although it provides a world of opportunity, it's very, very heavily polluted with all the wrong stuff. You know, and people do get let down. Artists get really just pushed around a lot. But that's why, you know, we have a very tight, structured team. And that's also why we set up the label. You know, we were seeing what was going on with a lot of artists, what was going on with ourselves. And we weren't really kind of happy about where the course was taking us, where we were all being taken. So we thought, okay, let's kind of switch it up. And but when I actually moved here, I had a couple of opportunities for song and music, and for whatever reason they fell through, I had to decide, am I ready to come back to London yet? And say I failed, because I was close to doing that, and I wasn't ready to do that. So I went into a record label here, Universal Music, and I convinced them to give me a job as an A&R. And obviously you guys are a great label and everything else. You are probably the world's biggest. Universal Music is one of the world's biggest record labels. I said, but you need to hire me, because I'm from London, and my ears are different. My music taste is different. I've grown up in different surroundings. You need someone from outside of India to be in your team. So I worked at Universal Music as an A&R for about a year and a bit.
Wow, yeah, yeah.
Whilst I was sort of fending for myself and kind of thing in India, because I wasn't ready to let go. And whilst I was doing that, that's when I started to get some film projects. And just because I stuck it out a little bit longer, I then started to get a bit more. I think because I was a bit more committed, maybe I wasn't ready to kind of give up.
Yeah, on the first hurdle, So
yeah,
and that's interesting. That's one of the reasons why you created Break the Noise Records, because you wanted to kind of put that structures that you've learned from the UK in India. Kind of deadlines and working to time, and I can imagine it must have been difficult, because that's one of the problems out there. I assume, it's about commitment and people fulfilling their promises, and not, So, how have you found creating this record company and dealing with artists? Have you found it?
It's been really, really, really fun, to be honest, because I don't know if you've heard the story from Rishi's interview, but it's always been something that Rishi has wanted to do. I've never thought about being a part of a record label until I'm an employee. That's different. But having my own share of a record label, I've never really thought about it so early on in my career. I still feel like I'm establishing myself as an artist, to be honest. I've been in the industry for nearly 11 years, and I still feel like I haven't even scratched the surface. I still feel like I've got such a long way to go. So me being part of a record label, it didn't really seem like that was something that I wanted to do. We actually all just went out on a night out, and champagne was there. There was a bit of tequila, and we're all just kind of sitting around talking about what we would want to do in the next 5 years. And Rishi said, he wants to have his own record label, and I don't know how much tequila I had, because I said, yeah, okay. And the other friend, RDV, who we were with, and he was like, yes, let's do it. And, then you think, okay, that was, we've had those conversations. It's been one of those nights. It's fine. But a couple of days later, and I think this is Kismet, we were approached by a digital distribution platform, who were basically saying, can we come and meet you guys and listen to the songs that you guys have got sitting on your hard drives, not stuff that you've released. So we had a meeting with them, and we played them, I think, around 15 to 20 songs. And more or less on the spot, they offered us a label deal.
Wow.
And said, you would be an independent record label. You will have to do everything yourself, everything. But we will distribute your audio for you. And within 2 weeks and a couple of presentations and slideshows and some proposals that we had to send across, we were signed and sealed. And that was literally May that all got signed up. And obviously we were already in lockdown.
Yeah. I mean, perfect timing. Perfect timing.
Yeah, it was. And honestly, we all kind of discuss it now as well. And if it didn't happen, and thank God that it did, if it didn't happen, I myself, I would have struggled, because film music had stopped. So all the film projects had come to a halt. The other music that I had was only tied up in film. I didn't have any other independent projects going at that time. And because everything came to a standstill, I think I would have, had to go back to London and restart my life going back to law, maybe.
Wow.
You know, so really just, I think that was just God's way of saying, just kind of hang in there. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So yeah.
So
stay committed throughout.
Stay committed, folks.
Yeah.
And because obviously it's very, it's a baby, isn't it? This record label at the moment. It's from May. You know, it's not very old at all. But I know recently, you've worked on a project with Ameet, Chana, and for Ricky Real, and that's one of the reasons Raj Guy, a mutual friend of ours, dropped me a message, and I've shared a few of the posts about Ricky Real, and I remember the story, and I can't believe how long ago it was, and I've seen some of the interviews with his mother, and you know, I couldn't even begin to imagine what she's going through, or you know, even now today.
Heartbreaking.
It's a heartbreaking story, right? So how did you get involved in that, and how did it all come about?
So Auntie has actually been speaking to Rishi for a couple of years now, I believe. I can't remember just how long, but a couple of years. And I myself, I didn't know the story of Ricky Real, but I've known other stories like Ricky Real. You know, all growing up in London in the 80s, 90s, I think we can all say we've seen or heard our fair share of racism and things like that, especially when you go to university and you're just kind of, you know, in the middle of all of it. So Auntie, I think, and Rishi were having a conversation quite recently, a couple of months ago. And you know, I was actually in the studio at the time, and Auntie, you know, she broke down on the call and she said, you know, I have approached so many different artists in the music industry over, you know, the last 23 years. And they've all said, you know, the people that she's approached, and I won't take any names, but they are quite high profile, you know, artists. And they've, you know, some of them have even responded back to her saying, yes, you know, we'll do it for you. And they never have. So she's been holding on to empty promises, you know, from these artists, just looking for support really, and just an outlet also for her pain and her grief. And, you know, upon hearing that, I felt really, really disappointed, you know, for an industry, you know, an industry that we all work so hard to be a part of, you know, we all make a point of being a part of. And I felt very, very disappointed that here was a member of our own community, one of our own, who was struggling to even get a, you know, a retweet or a share on her son's story and her plight. And she basically just said, look, I would like a song in honor of my son to be released. And it's not to, you know, upset anybody. It's just so I want the world to remember his name. And that's all she said. Shall I put the lights back on, because they're really, really dark now?
Yeah, pop it back on. Yeah.
Hold on 1 second.
That's okay.
It's very, very dark all of a sudden. This will probably be better now.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's going to dim in and out, isn't it, on your video? So she basically said that she wanted a song done in her son's honor. And I asked her to basically go through the story a little bit about Ricky, and I was completely taken aback. And I felt disappointed in myself. I'd heard of Stephen Lawrence, you know, I've heard of so many other high profile, you know, cases and stories and things like that. I hadn't heard of Ricky Real before. And that also broke my heart, because I was like, you know, it could have been me. It could have been someone that I knew at university. It could have been anybody. And I think at that point, you know, Rishi and I just said, yes, we'll do it straight away. Whatever you need, Auntie, you know, we're here for you. We'll do it. And we just set up the label at that point. So we basically said, you know, whatever resources we have, we're still trying to find our way, but we will do obviously what we can to help you. And, you know, I think about a week later, by that point, we'd already spoken to Raj and informed him of what we were planning to do. Rishi had spoken to Ameet as well, told him what we were planning to do. And we'd already sourced and spoke to a couple of journalists and things like that. You know, this is what we're attempting to do from a music and an artist support standpoint. And after that, Auntie just really started to send us, all the links about Ricky, his pictures, the poetry she'd been writing. And I think she finally found, people that, in the industry that could support her, but also people that wouldn't judge her, people that don't really know her, just people that she could just pour out her grief to. And, no one would sort of ignore her, kind of thing. I think she felt really comfortable with us. And, out of all those emails she sent, the song was made. We kind of just went through it and pieced her poetry together to kind of make a song. And that's how Justice for Ricky Real was made.
Wow. So ultimately, is it just almost a love letter for her son from her mum?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is she just trying to, in regards to the case, you doing law as well, obviously this must have hit home, because there's a certain point.
And I was on criminal defense as well, which makes it even difficult.
Yeah, because there's certain points in that case which are absolutely terrible, the spying on the family.
Yeah.
It mirrors very much the Stephen Lawrence case as well.
Yes, yeah.
And I think this was 3 years afterwards. So at that point, the Macpherson report hadn't been published, and so that institutionally races in the Met Police, that term we didn't know about at the time, so kind of Ricky's story kind of it got lost, didn't it, in the way
it did.
And which is really sad, not just for his mum but probably as a community as well. We probably didn't do as much as we probably could, and respect to all you guys for helping her, because
Thank you.
I've got kids, and if something happened to them and I had no one I needed support, and you ask artists because they have platforms, right? That's what it is. Of course. And that's why you ask them, because you think a lot of people follow them and they might listen to them, and
follow them for a reason, right?
And then why not use it for something like that? So I really like the song as well, by the way. If you're going to make a song, you might as well make a really good one. It's quite, with the spoken word in it as well from Ameet as well, and your vocals. And how does she find the song herself? Is she happy? And
when we sent it to her, she didn't respond straight away. We by then we'd already set up a WhatsApp group and kind of showed Auntie that, look, we are serious about this. We don't mess around. Like, if we're saying we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do it properly. And we'd set up a WhatsApp group, and we were all in communication with each other. And after we sent her the song, she didn't respond for, I think, about a day. And obviously that's when your artist anxiety sort of kicks in, right?
Yeah, she don't like it.
And you start, she doesn't like it. Have we offended her? Have we done something wrong? And, and then I sort of put those feelings aside, and I thought to myself, she's been on this fight and on this battle for the last 23 or so years. She probably just needs a minute to just take it in and absorb it. And when she did message, she said, I felt like my whole heart was just poured out in 4 minutes. And she was so overwhelmed. And, we've had, a huge respect to the Real family. We've had, between us all, we've had messages from, Ricky's brother, Ricky's sister-in-law, and, the whole family have really just messaged us and overwhelmed us with so much love and kindness, and keep saying thank you. And the fact is, they shouldn't have to. They've been really put through a tragedy that they shouldn't have. And I think it was the least we can do as a community. And one thing that Auntie has always said is, she's been on this fight for 23 years to get justice. And she said, I just want to, if I can't get justice, I just want to be able to look Ricky in the eye and say, but I put a song out for you in the whole world, so the world won't forget your name. And that really pulled out my heartstrings, because I thought she's still fighting, and she's going to continue fighting, but she just wants her son to be at peace, and she just wants that story to be shared. And it was a massive group effort, but it was something that we all needed to do, I think, for sure.
Yeah. So is her aim to reopen the case again and to look into it again, or?
Yeah, it was, but I don't think we were sort of aware of that. She hadn't told us that explicitly. Once the song had come out, and she'd done a couple of interviews, and I think a live interview in particular she did last week, everyone just kept asking, do a petition, we'll sign it. And now that is something that we're all undertaking between us. We're all helping her with a petition to be able to reopen the case. We can only try, but we are trying. It's the least we can do. And I was speaking to my mum about it. My brother is going to university next year. And I've been to university. My sister's currently in university, and I thought it could happen to anybody, and we've all seen it. It could have been somebody I knew, it could have been me. And I think just that thought that it could literally be any one of us, it's a very scary, very, very scary thought. The world is a very, very cruel place, and I just think us being able to show Auntie some comfort is it's a win. I think she deserves that at least.
Yeah, absolutely. And anyone watching and listening, I'll definitely advise to go read up about Ricky's real story.
Yeah.
It's almost a mundane night out, that we've all done. We've gone to a club, we've got a bit drunk, whatever, right? And we've walking home with our mates, and it just turns, so thank you for you guys, for supporting her. That's all she really wanted, someone just to support her. So I'll put all the links for the song, even a petition. If you send it to me, I'll put
I think we'll get those details soon. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I'll add them to the show notes as well. But for yourself, Kiran, now you're now established. You remaining in India now. That's it. You're there.
Yeah, for now. So recently, I've kind of been thinking like, oh, I wouldn't mind going to New York or Cuba or something or anything like that. I don't know. I'm really trying to play it by ear. Now the record label is set up here in India. We've all kind of proved to ourselves that we've been able to do everything that we're doing remotely without any sort of unnecessary difficulty. So whether I move back to London shortly and do it from there, that's an option. Whether I move to another country, start up something there and do this, I don't know. For now, it's India. India still feels like home for me. I still feel very safe, and I'm still enjoying it. So the minute that changes is when I will decide another path, I guess.
Yeah. So for yourself, Kiran, your plans as a singer, what you got planned yourself? Obviously you're juggling a lot of plates at the moment, right? Is it plates or is it balls? Yeah, plates, right? And,
plates, yeah.
But your singing hasn't taken a back seat though, right? You're still.
No, I'm still singing, but for some reason, and it sort of happened naturally, but I do enjoy it. Whenever I get into the studio, I love composing melodies, and I love walking around and humming to myself and recording voice notes of potential ideas. And sometimes as soon as I hear a music beat, I know exactly what I think should be on it. And I love jumping in front of the mic and putting a melody down and sitting with Rishi and the rest of the team and discussing which artist that vibe will suit. Because, everything that I come out with, some of it is not going to suit me. Sometimes I'll write stuff and I'm like, I can't sing these lyrics. People will laugh at me, but it might suit somebody else. So I love writing and composing for other artists. I love developing them. A couple of our releases have actually been written and composed by me and the rest of the team for other artists on the label. And it just means that what we're doing as a label, we're not a record label run by business suits. We're run by two artists, Rishi and myself, and RDV, who's a film producer in Mumbai. We are tailor-making music for the artists that we work for. So that means that, Rishi is doing the music. Between him and I, we're composing. Between him and I and another writer that we use, we're writing in-house. So everything happens in-house, and we deliver that to the artist. All the artist has to do is record the vocals exactly how we've told them to do it, and just tailor making a track for an artist. I think it's very, very special. It's very unique. And we're allowing, the artist to say, okay, that doesn't sound like me. Can we change this? Can we change that? And it just means that, we're artists working for and with artists. And I think that's a very, very beautiful sentiment in this day and age. when it comes to record labels and releasing music. Because we've all had meetings with record labels where we play a song and they're like, no, don't like it. And you know, it's there's something there, but it's not a complete write-off. But we just got fed up with that.
Yeah.
So you know.
Yeah. The business suits don't always know what's you know.
And the classic example is Nakre with Jay. That was taken into a record label, and they basically turned around and said, no, it's not going to work in India. People won't get it. You know, people won't understand the vibe, and it's one person even said it's too international sounding. Yeah. And I was like, but when you go out in a club or a bar here in Mumbai, all you hear is Jay Sean songs or Raghav songs or Sean Paul and, you know, or Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber's been on the top 100 India chart, I think, for the last week or so, with Holi. So you can't say you don't like the international feel. Your charts are showing that you do.
Yeah.
The classic case example, you know, Nakre came out last month, and touch wood, it's done phenomenally well. And it's doing phenomenally well in India. So
yeah,
we just got fed up of hearing no. So we were like, okay, we'll do it ourselves then.
Yeah, maybe they do like international songs.
Yeah, maybe just not that one.
Yeah, it's a funny term, you know. It's a bit too international. Yeah. But when the world is literally, you know, we are all international, connected via the internet, so we can listen to anything around the world. But yeah, look, it's a fantastic story, Kiran, for yourself. You know, you've done a lot, you know, on a young head, right? And there's a long future for you yet. And maybe next time when we do another one, you'll be in New York or something. And
yeah, I'm behind me will be like Empire State Building or something. Who knows?
Yeah, or it could be South.
One can only dream. Yeah, or it could be South. Or, hey, you know what? It doesn't matter, I guess. Wherever I am in the world, I just want to kind of carry on doing the work that I'm doing. Yeah. And, you know, and that's the best thing for me, I think. You know, just doing good work, hard work, and you know, doing it with a sense of purity. I think that's what I've managed to be able to do in all the years that I've been in the industry. And that's probably why, actually, even though I've been around for so many years, not many people really do know me or know about me. I don't do a lot of interviews. I don't do any performances anymore. I keep quite behind the scenes and stuff. And, you know, I think sometimes that also needs to just be put to the side, and you do need to come out every now and then and say a couple of words. So
yeah.
I decided to do that with you today.
Yeah, thank you. But you should do interviews. They're fantastic. You know,
thank you.
I want to think that you don't do many interviews. You're a very confident person, and you come across really well, and very passionate about your work. That's really apparent. Yeah. But I mean, look, I wish you all the best. And just before you go, for people listening, because there's an audio version and there's a video version. There's two. And just because you're in India, I'm actually on the Ghana app as well now, right? And right,
even I don't have that app. I don't like the ads.
But for some reason, obviously, it's a massive app in India. You know more than me, because I noticed my downloads were going up like significantly, and I was thinking, wow, I didn't think I improved that much from the last show, right? Like a massive increase, a spike, right? And I was thinking, what's going on? And anyway, it had got accepted, you see, on Ghana, right? And I didn't realize.
Oh, wow.
I didn't check my emails, right? And I'm not as, you know, proficient as you checking emails, right? So, and it's doing really, really well there. They obviously must love.
Fantastic.
They must love international shows. And international.
I don't know. I hope they do.
Yeah, well, going by my downloads, they do like them, right? So, but yeah, so it's a big market, you know. I think people in India do appreciate all these things, you know, and so I want you, before you go, just to tell people listening any messages where they can follow you, your social media tags and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've watched that social media program on Netflix recently, and I'm very, very paranoid that the whole world is watching my every move. So I'm trying to cipher down to one social media platform, and that will be Instagram. Right. So you can find me at Kiranee Music. I am on Facebook and Twitter, but I barely use those. And my music is on Spotify, Apple Music, all the apps. I'm there under Kiranee. and also Kiran Dhanoa, because in this 10-year stretch, I obviously needed a name change and a rebrand. So I have 2 artist profiles everywhere you go.
Right, that's fantastic. Yeah. I've seen that program. I know it's the Social Dilemma, isn't it? Right, that's the one you see.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, they're watching us, Kiran. We can't get.
I know.
They're here now.
I'm feeling very paranoid right now.
They're the ones who be turning their lights off.
Yeah.
But Kiran, look, thanks. It's been fantastic speaking to you.
Thank you.
Let's do it again soon. And thanks for coming on.
Well, thank you so much, Pat. Take care.
Bye-bye.